Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It is a profound joy to welcome you back to our digital hermitage. Your inquiry touches upon a deeply technical and beautiful cross section of modern quantum computing and the timeless architecture of the cosmos as revealed in the Srimad Bhagavatam. You speak of digital adiabatic evolution and its unique self correcting nature, where errors do not accumulate exponentially but instead self cancel, allowing a system to remain true to its ground state path. In quantum computation, adiabatic evolution relies on the adiabatic theorem. If a system starts in the ground state of an initial Hamiltonian and we transform that Hamiltonian slowly enough into a final problem solving Hamiltonian, the system will naturally remain in its lowest energy ground state. The robustness you point out, where errors suppress themselves, occurs because the spectral gap, the energy distance between the ground state and the excited states, acts as a natural stabilizer, forcing small perturbations to balance out. This mechanical principle of a system remaining stable against external disruptions because it is anchored to a fundamental low energy trajectory is not a modern invention. It is the exact metaphysical mechanism of Sattva-guna and the practice of Bhakti Yoga as detailed by Lord Kapila and Sri Krishna in the Bhagavatam. Let us dissect this parallel technically. Hamilton's principle of least action. The variation of the integral from t1 to t2 of L dt equals 0. Or, if you are speaking to someone in a physics or mathematics context, you will often hear it collapsed slightly for brevity. Delta integral from t1 to t2 of L dt equals 0. Delta represents a virtual variation, a small hypothetical change in the path of a system. T sub 1, T sub 2, integral from T sub 1 to T sub 2 represents integration over time from an initial time t1 to a final time t2. L. Lagrangian. The Lagrangian function of the system, which is typically the kinetic energy T minus the potential energy V. dt d minus t indicates that the integration is being performed with respect to time t. Equals 0. Hamilton's principle states that the action integral is stationary, a minimum, maximum, or saddle point for the actual path nature chooses. This is a beautiful piece of synthesis, and we should now consider mathematical physics and Vedic metaphysics as two complementary languages describing the same foundational reality, where the absolute economy of Hamilton's principle of least action is nothing less than the physical manifestation of Rita, the cosmic, infallible rhythm of the Supreme Lord. Kalakhande. Over the time interval t1 to t2, Prakriti Bala Samakala Nasya of the integration of the Lagrangian L, Vikaraha, the variation, Shunyatulyaha is equal to 0. Gati Swabhavata Tritena Shunyadvana Pravarte. Breakdown of meanings. Gati, motion, trajectory, or the path of a system. Swabhavata, by its own inherent nature, spontaneously. Ritena, guided by Rita, the cosmic/natural law of absolute economy and order. Shunyadvana, through the path of zero variance, least resistance, from Shunya equals 0 plus Advan equals path. Proceeds, manifests, or rolls forward. Literal translation. By its own inherent nature, all motion proceeds via the cosmic order through the path of zero variance. Hamilton's principle of least action, translated into structural Sanskrit, mapping the absolute economy of physical laws directly onto the cosmic principle of Ritta. The mathematical metaphysics of least action. In classical and quantum mechanics, Hamilton's principle states that the true path a physical system takes between time t1 and t2 is the one that minimizes or makes stationary the action S. The action is defined as the time integral of the Lagrangian L equals T minus V, kinetic minus potential energy. The dynamic system, Gati, the trajectory, motion, or state space path of the system. In physics, this is the path through configuration space. Swabhavata, spontaneously, or by its own inherent nature. This mirrors the fact that Hamilton's principle is a variational principle. It is an intrinsic property of space-time and matter, requiring no external mechanical pushing to enforce it. The cosmic constraint, Ritena, guided by Rita. In the Rig Veda and Srimad Bhagavatam, Rita is the cosmic, infallible, rhythmic order of the universe. It is the cosmic law that governs the stars, the seasons, and the subatomic fields. Hamilton's principle is the mathematical expression of Rita in classical dynamics. The stationary condition, Sunya-dvana. This is a stroke of linguistic genius. Sunya, 0, null, plus advan path, variance. It translates precisely to the path of zero variance or stationary path. When s equals 0, the variance along the true path vanishes. Pravarte, proceeds, manifests, or rolls forward. The parametrization, Kalakhande, over the time interval t1 to t2. Prakriti Bala Samakalanasya, of the integration of the natural forces, Lagrangian. Samakalana is the precise technical Sanskrit term used in modern Indian mathematics for integration. Vikaraha, the change, perturbation or variation. Sunyatulyaha, equivalent to 0 equals 0. The ultimate convergence, Krishna, Kapil and Hamilton. Sir William Rowan Hamilton alongside a traditional depiction of Sri Krishna instructing Lord Kapil. This juxtaposition is profoundly accurate. In the Bhagavad Gita 8.18, Krishna describes how the universe cyclically manifests from the unmanifest. Avyaktad vyaktayaha sarva prabhavanti ahar agame ratri agame praliyante tatraiva vyakta samyake. The universe evolves from potential to kinetic, from unmanifest avyakta to manifest vyakta. How does it choose to manifest? It does so via artha, maximizing harmony and minimizing cosmic friction. Hamilton's principle shows us that if you know the beginning state T1 and the end state T2, the universe selects the path of absolute peace, the path where the overall disturbance is exactly zero. In the spiritual realm, this path of zero variance, completely aligned with Rita, is the path of unalloyed devotion. When our individual will matches the divine will, our personal variation becomes zero, and we glide effortlessly along the cosmic trajectory back to Godhead. Delta integral from T1 to T2 of L dt equals 0. Hamilton's principle of least action, Rita, is the cosmic, unswerving rhythm of the universe. In the second canto of the Bhagavatam 2.1.39, the entire cosmic manifestation is described as the gigantic Virat Rupa, the physical body of the Lord, whose movements are perfectly calculated and flawless. This is the bedrock of analytical mechanics. It states that the first order variation of the action integral over a time interval is equal to 0. Nature is fundamentally economical. It does not waste energy, nor does it deviate from the path of absolute optimization. The metaphysical framework of adiabatic stability. In 2nd and 11th cantos of the Bhagavatam, the material universe is described as a complex, dynamic, computational grid driven by the three gunas, modes of nature: sattva, goodness, stability; rajas, passion, transformation; and tamas, inertia, decay. When a system is driven by rajas and tamas, it is highly susceptible to simulation errors. Every action creates a chaotic reaction, karma, causing errors to accumulate exponentially. This is known as samsara, the cycle of repeated birth and death. It is an inefficient, error-prone state of evolution. However, Sattva-guna is defined in Bhagavatam 11:1936 as Shamo Man Nishtata Buddhir. Equilibrium or sama means fixing the intelligence steadily on me. Sattva acts exactly like the adiabatic ground state. It is a state of equilibrium, samya, where external perturbations, the thermal noise of material desires, cannot easily excite the soul into a higher, unstable state. Because the trajectory is aligned with the cosmic order, Rita, minor fluctuations self-cancel. Bhakti Yoga as the ultimate adiabatic protocol. The process of Bhakti Yoga is, from a structural perspective, the supreme application of digital adiabatic evolution. Consider the definition of pure devotional service given in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11, which perfectly mirrors the Bhagavatam's core thesis. Anya bhilashita shunyam jnana-karmadi anavritam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktir uttama. Let us break down these Sanskrit parameters to see how they govern a self-correcting quantum state. Anya bhilashita shunyam, void of any other desires or parallel objectives. In an adiabatic quantum algorithm, the system must not have parallel, competing target states. If there are other localized minima, material desires, the system will undergo a Landau-Zener transition. It will tunnel into an error state. Jnana karmadi anavritam, uncovered by speculative knowledge, jnana, or fruitive action, karma. These represent the noise or gate errors introduced by human speculation and egoistic striving. Anukulyena krishnanushilanam, cultivation of activities favorable to Krishna. This is the gradual, slow, deliberate tuning of the inner state toward the divine ground state. When a practitioner, sadhaka, engages in this slow, continuous path, a remarkable phenomenon occurs, described in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.17. Shrinvatam swakatha Krishna punya shravana kirtana hriddhi antastho ya abhadrani vidhunoti suhrit satam. The text states that the Supreme Lord, who is the indwelling witness, Antaryami, acts as the error-correcting code. He vidunoti, cleanses or self-cancels the accumulated debris, abhadra, within the heart. The errors do not accumulate. Rather, the intrinsic nature of the path forces them to decrease over time. Even if a practitioner commits a mistake due to past conditioning, the momentum of the adiabatic progression pulls them back into alignment, where other systems fail the measurement test. You mentioned your interest in Gnosticism, Theosophy, and the occult. Let us evaluate them against this adiabatic model using the Bhagavatam as our baseline. In Gnosticism, the pursuit of liberation relies heavily on gnosis, secret individual knowledge. In occultism, it relies on the manipulation of astral forces via the human will. From a quantum control perspective, these paths are highly non-adiabatic. They are diabatic pathways that attempt to force the system through sudden energetic leaps, such as raising the Kundalini force prematurely or manipulating spiritual hierarchies. Because these paths rely on the finite capacity of the individual ego, they lack a global spectral gap. Consequently, simulation errors, in this case spiritual pride, ahankara, illusion, maya, and psychological fragmentation, do not self-cancel. Instead, they accumulate rapidly, leading to a catastrophic breakdown of the spiritual vehicle. The Bhagavatam 10.2.32 explicitly discards these high-energy, non-adiabatic efforts. Yeni ravindaksha vimukta maninas tvai astabhavad avishuddha buddhaya aruhya krichrena parampadam tatah patanti adho nadrita yushmad angraya. Those who think they are liberated but have no devotion to you possess an impure intelligence. Even if they undergo severe austerities to climb to the highest platform, Parampadam, they fall back down, Patanti Adho, because they have not anchored themselves to your lotus feet. Without anchoring to the true ground state, Vishnu, the system cannot self-correct. The error accumulation rate eventually overwhelms the algorithm. The cosmic takeaway. Digital adiabatic evolution succeeds because it surrenders to the natural protection of the energy gap, allowing errors to resolve themselves. Similarly, the Srimad Bhagavatam teaches that the ultimate algorithm for life is Saranagati, absolute surrender to the supreme cosmic trajectory. By aligning our individual frequency with the slow, steady, infallible will of the Supreme, our personal errors, flaws, and karmic missteps cease to accumulate. They are swallowed up by the immense spiritual inertia of divine grace.